I am betrayed. The next day, Scarlet and I were getting change for fencing when she came to me about winds and my plan for the prom. Do you think you guys will go? She asked. I told her we hadn't discussed it yet, but I didn't see why not. In general, Wynn liked that sort of thing. And since the fall formal had been such a debacle, I was planning on asking him this time. Why? Well, it's only a month off, and I'm on the junior planning committee, so... Her voice trailed off. And the thing is, someone asked me, Scarlet said. Already? That's great! I kissed her on the cheek. Don't tell me. You got back with Garrett Lou. No, she said. Who is it? I teased. Is it someone who goes to our school? Or some sexy older man? She didn't say anything. Who, Scarlet? The longer she didn't speak, the more it began to occur to me, or rather who, her silence might mean. You can't mean. It's a friend's thing. We've been thrown together so much since he's been back to school. He isn't romantic. Obviously, Gable's just someone to go with. There. She said the name. Scarlet. You can't. He's off. He's completely off. I sputtered. I shook my head. There were no words. I couldn't even look at her. He's changed. I swear. You've seen Gable. He's different than he once was. How could he not be? After what happened to him, he lost his foot, Annie. I feel sorry for him, I guess. Is that it? I asked. You feel sorry for him? Look, it's not like I'm Miss Popularity myself. No one ever asks me anywhere. They think I'm the weird drama girl. Or Anya Balanchine's odd friend. I might be silly, but I know what other people say. What do you care anyway? You got Win. Scarlet, you know that's not the point. The point is... What was the point? The point is, we're talking about the boy who practically tried to rape me the night before school started. I asked him about that. He said you misunderstood. I did not misunderstand! Listen a second, would you? He said you misunderstood, but only a little. Then he wanted to have sex with you, but he would never have forced himself on you, even if Leo hadn't shown up. Either way, he knows he was wrong. He was in the wrong. He shouldn't have even gone into your bedroom that night. He shouldn't have said those things he said after either. He knew you were a good Catholic girl. That's what he said, Annie. A good Catholic girl. And that he never should have put you in that position. He knows he took advantage of your situation. He knows, Annie, and he's sorry. We spent hours talking about what happened between you two. I couldn't even consider going with him if I didn't believe he was actually, truly contrite. He's lying, Scarlet. He's manipulating you. I tried to control my breathing. I was dangerously close to saying or doing something awful to Scarlet. And despite her current betrayal, she's been a very good friend to me. There's one other thing. I promised not to tell you this, but his parents wanted to sue your family over Gable's poisoning. But Gable talked them out of it. He said it was his fault for asking for the chocolate. He took all the blame and told them that the rest of it was an unfortunate accident. It was an accident! How noble of him, Scarlet, admitting that there was an accident was an accident. Yes, but Gable had and has a lot of medical bills. So, even though it was his own gluttony that led to his poisoning, I interrupted her. Listen to me, Scarlet. If you go to prom with Gable Arsley, we can't be friends anymore. Scarlet shook her head. Her eyes filled with tears. Gable said you would say that, but I thought he was wrong. Your life has been hard, but you're not the only person in the world who suffers, Annie. Gable has been suffering. All you have to do is open your eyes and look at him to see how much. She took a deep breath. People do change. Gable Arsley has not changed. I was talking about me. I love you, Annie. I love your whole family. I love Leo and Addie, and I would do anything for you. But I want to do something for me for a change. You consider going to prom with the Gimpy Boys something for you? I said cruelly. Perhaps you've set your standards a tad low, Scar. The remark was below you, she said. She picked up her school bag and left the locker room. I used the last quarter to splash my face. I seriously felt like I might kill someone. I went into the cafeteria. Scarlet must have already been in the lunch line. I didn't see Win, but across the chessboard floor of the cafeteria, I did see Gable Arsley. At this point, the whole world went into slow motion. I was running toward Gable. I picked up a tray from one of the other tables. "Hey, that's my food!" called Chai Pinter, but her voice sounded like she was underwater. Now I was running toward him, carrying the tray, red sauce splashing in tiny spikes. Suddenly, I was standing an inch in front of him. I was about to pour the lasagna over his head when I noticed his face, the ruined texture of it. His strange pinkish hue where the skin graft was. And further down, the missing fingertips which, had they been there, might have pointed me toward his missing foot. I felt Win's hand on my arm, and Scarlet was there too. "Anya, leave him alone! Please, you have no idea how much pain he's in!" "Shh!" Gable said to Scarlet. "It's fine." I set that tray down in front of Gable. I leaned down. It was the most intimate I've been with Gable since the afternoon at the rehab center. My cheek was lightly brushing his cheek when I whispered into his ear. "You may have Scarlet fooled, but you and me have known each other too long, Gable. If anything ever happens to her, don't expect to live. You know who my family is and what they're capable of." "I thought you were going to pour the lasagna over my head again," Gable cracked. "Just like old times." I didn't reply. I wouldn't sit with Gable and Scarlet, or speak to them either. I picked up Chai Pinter's tray and returned it to her.
I'm sorry,
I said. "Oh, is something happening between Gable and Scarlet?" Chai asked. "Are you totally mad?" I walked away without answering. I sat down at a table that was as far away from Gable as possible. Win sat across from me. He took an orange out of his bag and began to peel it. "Do you know about this?" I asked him. He shrugged. "Not for sure. I kinda thought something might be happening, but I honestly thought they might just be friends." That's what Scarlet claimed, but still, it's the principle of the thing. She wants to go to prom with him. Can you imagine the absurdity of that? Win broke off a section of orange for me. Prom, by definition, is sort of absurd, Annie. The tuxedos, the ball gowns, the punch bowl. I don't see how Scarlet going with Gable makes it any more absurd than normal. "Whose side are you on here?" "Yours," replied Win. "But also theirs," he added with a sigh. "One of the best things about your friend Scarlet is how compassionate she is. No one at our entire school likes Gable Arsley, Annie. Every single one of his old friends abandoned him. If we hadn't eaten lunch with him, he would have eaten alone. You know this. So I can't help but think that Scarlet can find in her heart to be kind to Gable Arsley. Who are we to stop her?" "She betrayed me, Win." "How can I ever forgive that?" Win shook his head. "I don't know what to tell you, Annie. She happens to be the most loyal friend you have." For a guy whose father was a tough political operative, Win was sure naive. Daddy used to say You could assume a person was loyal until the day she betrayed you. Then, you should never trust her again. So I guess we won't be double dating to prom, Wynn joked. Technically, I think it's too soon for that sort of joke, I told him. And furthermore, I don't think I agreed to go with you yet. I was annoyed that he ruined my plan to ask him. But you will, he said. I'm the only friend you have left. I threw an orange slice at him. Halfway through Mr. Weir's class, I was summoned to Headmaster's office. I assumed it was something to do with my lunchtime behavior. Either someone, Chai Pinter perhaps, or Scarlet, who knew what she was capable of, had reported me for running across the cafeteria like a mad woman. Or alternately, Gable himself, who tattled about the threats I'd whispered in his ear. In any case, it was annoying. I hadn't done anything to anyone. Considering the circumstances, I thought I'd shown admirable restraint. They're waiting for you, the school secretary said as I entered the foyer. Who's they? I thought. 2 police officers were seated in front of the headmaster's desk. I recognized one of them from last fall, where I'd been arrested. This seemed a bit excessive what happened at lunch. They wouldn't arrest me for running across the cafeteria carrying a tray that wasn't mine. Could they? Hello, Anya, Headmaster said. You have a seat. I didn't. Detective Frappy, I said to the one I recognized. You cut your hair. I had it relaxed, Frappy replied. Thanks for noticing. So let's get to it, shall we? You aren't in any trouble, Anya, but we do need to talk about something that's happened. I nodded. My heart was beginning to flutter, and my stomach felt like there was an elastic band around it. Your brother, Leo, tried to kill Yuri Balanchine this morning with your father's gun. I asked her to repeat what she had said. These words made no sense to me. Your brother shot your uncle with your father's gun. How do they know it was my father's gun? I said numbly. Your cousin Mickey was there, and he recognized it as such. Red handle. The words Balanchine Special Dark on the side. If Mickey was right, it was a Smith & Wesson that had gone missing so long ago. You said, tried to kill Yuri. Does that mean Uncle Yuri is still alive? I asked. Yes, but he is in serious condition. The bullet punctured his lung, and he went into cardiac arrest, Frappy replied. He's in the ICU. I nodded. I didn't know if this would be better or worse for Leo if Yuri survived. Is Leo alive? I asked. Yes, but no one knows where he is. He shot once, then ran before anyone could stop him. Is he hurt? Frappy didn't know. Your cousin Mickey shot defensively, but he wasn't sure if he hit him or not. Poor Leo. He was probably so scared. Why had I ever allowed him to work at that place? Have you any idea why your brother would have wanted to shoot Yuri Balanchine? The other cop asked. I shook my head. So, you'll get in touch with us if Leo contacts you, right? I think you'll agree that it'd be better for him if he ends up in our hands before he ends up in your family's. I smiled and nodded it and thought, like hell I'd turn Leo over to the police. The police left. I couldn't move. Headmaster walked over to me. She placed her hand on mine. Do you have anyone watching you at home? Leo is your guardian, if I'm not mistaken. There's no one to supervise you and your sister. I'll have to call Child Protective Services on you. Yes, and here I stretch the truth. We have a nanny. Her name is Imogen Goodfellow. She used to take care of Galena, and now she watches us. I wrote down Imogen's phone number for Headmaster. Next, I asked her if Natty and I could take the rest of the day off in case Leo tried to go back to the apartment. Of course, Anya, Headmaster replied. Be careful on your way home. There was already reporters out there. I looked out the window. Sure enough, there was a hornet's nest of press standing on the sidewalk outside Holy Trinity. Headmaster sent someone to get Natty from class, and I asked if I could use the phone while I waited. I called Mr. Kipling and Simon Green. At the very least, we would need a car to drive us home. I explained what had happened. For a moment, neither man spoke. And I wonder if the line had gone dead. I'm sorry, Anya, Mr. Kipling said finally. This news is truly beyond comprehension. Do you think Natty and I will need protection coming home? No, Mr. Kipling said. The family likely won't make any moves until Yuri's condition has stabilized. And even if they did, it's Leo they'll want to kill. Not you. When Natty arrived in the office, I told her about Leo. I expected her to cry, but she didn't. Let's go light candles for Leo in the chapel, she said, wrapping her small hand around mine. I agreed that it certainly couldn't hurt anything. We'll need vouchers, I said. But my heart, I didn't think it would help much either. For the next several days, Natty and I were like zombies. We ate, we slept, we bathed, we went to school. We did everything we were supposed to do in order to not appear as we elect supervision. But really, what we did was wait for Leo to contact us. I was worried that he was dead, that Mickey had hit him and Leo was bleeding to death in an alley somewhere. I couldn't get a detailed account of what had happened because it wasn't safe for me to contact anyone in the family. I felt so isolated. I missed Scarlett, and I decided that it wasn't a good idea for Wynn to come visit either. On the Friday after our fight, Scarlett came up to me. I'm worried about Leo, she said. I ignored her. I wanted to talk to her, but I couldn't. As a confidant, I considered her to be compromised. She discussed me with Gable Archley, after all. Who knew who he would tell? I went to my classes, but the only subject that occupied me was why Leo had done it. I knew he had punched Mickey because he thought he had something to do with Nana's death. Had Leo been going for Mickey and accidentally shot Yuri? I knew Jax might have some answers, but getting in touch with him wasn't an option at the moment. I tortured myself by thinking about the things I might have done to prevent this. I should have found out what happened to Daddy's gun. I should have never let Leo go to work at the pool. I should never have put the idea in Leo's head that Nana had been murdered. He was so suggestible. For God's sake, of course she hadn't been murdered. She was practically a corpse when she had died. I shouldn't have brought up the summer program. I shouldn't have put so much pressure on him about being our guardian. I shouldn't have let myself be distracted by Wynn. I should have gone further to discourage Leo's relationship with Jax. Anyway, I went on and on with these sorts of suppositions. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was my fault, and that I let Daddy down. Monday morning, instead of going to Dr. Lau's class, I went to the chapel to pray. I couldn't concentrate. So many thoughts were bouncing around in my head. I sat in a pew and crossed myself. Annie, a voice called in a hoarse whisper. I looked around the chapel. No one appeared there. In the middle, the voice called again. I was halfway down the aisle. Then I sat in another pew. Lying on the ground was Leo. I did not move to hug him, though I wanted to. I focused my eyes on Jesus and kept my voice steady. Been waiting for you, he said. You don't say prayers as much as I thought you did. The school is a good place to hide. Get food in the cafeteria at night. Then I stay in the chapel all day. No one comes in here, and if they do, they think I'm some kid trying to skip class. When there's school chapel, I go to the theater. One day, I saw Scarlett kissing Gable Arsley, Annie. Did you know they were together? Makes me like her less. I knew they thought I would go back to the apartment, so I came here instead. I wanted to cry. Leo, that was very smart of you, but you can't stay here. Eventually, someone will see you, and then... POW! I'll be dead, he said rather cheerfully. Leo took the gun out of his waistband. Daddy's Smith & Wesson, like Mickey had reported. I resisted the urge to take it from him. If the Balanchines showed up at school, Leo should have had some ability to defend himself. Why did you do it, Leo? There were a million, billion, trillion reasons, Leo sighed. Because I'm the son of Leonard Balanchine, and I'm the rightful head of the family, he said. Yuri is old. He's trying to set things up so that Mickey can be the next head. He's trying to steal my... Leo struggled to find the right word. My birthright. Also because Mickey is bad. He set up the free chocolate poisoning to make his father look weak, so that he could be the head sooner. Wait, how do you know that Mickey set it up? I asked. Because Jax told me, Leo replied. What else did Jax tell you? That Mickey and Yuri made us go to the wedding so that they could kill Nana. Yuri controls the power, and that's why the machine stopped. Leo, what sense does that make? Why would they want to kill Nana? So I'd be too busy being a guardian to claim what is rightfully mine. I put my head in my hands. My poor brother. Oh, Leo, why would you ever want to be the head of the family? It's a terrible job. Look what happened to Daddy. Leo paused. Because the only way to protect you and Natty from the people in our family. But Natty and I were fine until... No, you weren't. You were sent to jail last fall because of our family. You came home like a little broken doll, Nanny. That's when I knew I had to do something. Daddy told me before he died that my job in life was to protect my sisters. Stupid Daddy. He told me the same thing. But Leo, the best way to protect us would have been to stay out of it. Now they'll come for you. And if they find you, they'll probably kill you. Leo shook his head. I know you think I'm dumb, Annie. That I'm like Victor the Mule. Victor the Mule? Who the heck is Victor the Mule? And then I remembered. You didn't know I was outside the door, but I was. Nana said I was like him. That he was dumb and good for moving boxes. And you agreed. Dumb Leo. Just like Victor the Mule. No, Leo. You misunderstood. But he hadn't. He had her exactly right. Everyone underestimates me, Annie. Just because I struggle with words and cry sometimes doesn't mean I'm an idiot. Just because I have seizures doesn't mean I'm weak and can't protect my sisters. Just because I was hurt doesn't mean I'm a worthless thing who never got better. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't afford to attract attention to us. Did Jax explain this to you? No! You haven't been listening, Annie! This is me! Maybe Jax told me a couple of things about how the family works, but I did this myself, Annie. I did this for all of us. Leo was delusional and dead wrong. He had been manipulated by Jax. That much, I know. But it didn't change the fact that Leo was now an attempted murderer. If the family got to him, Leo would be killed. If the police got to him, Leo would be sent to prison, which could be even worse than death for a person like my brother. I had to get him out of the country. But first I had to get him out of the school. I crossed myself again and said a quick prayer. I made Leo promise to keep alternating pews throughout the day to reduce the chance of being spotted. I gave him my school scarf to wrap around his head so that, if he was seen, he might be mistaken for someone else. I left the chapel and went to the church secretary's office. The office was empty, as they had yet to replace the secretary these many months later. I picked up the phone. It was 9 at night in Kyoto. I don't think it was too late to call, but even if it was, it couldn't be helped. Yuji answered the phone in Japanese. Yuji, it's Anya Balanchine. I need a favor. I explained my situation. I don't expect you to watch Leo, but I can't leave him in this country. He'll be killed, and they'll be right to do it. Still, I can't let my brother die, can I? Of course not, Yuji replied. I'm hoping that you'll be able to arrange a secret transport of some kind for Leo to Japan. Again, I know it would compromise you to have him in your home, so I was hoping you might find an institution of some sort where they would be able to watch him. He's lost his mind. He has no sense of his abilities, of his limitations. I believe the associate you warned me about, Jax, has been puffing him up. Though, to what end, I still don't know. I'll arrange a transportation and a place for your brother, Yuji said. Thank you. Of course, I'll pay you for everything, but it can't be right now. Not a problem, It might seem a little disingenuous coming on the heels of me asking you for such an enormous favor, but I wanted to thank you for the flowers, and especially for your note. Yes, of course, Anya. May I ask you a question? He asked.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any idea how and when you're going to get him out of your school? If it's as surrounded by the media and places you say, I mean. And since you obviously can't bring him back to your home either. There is a school dance coming up in 2 weeks. It's a big one, with catering and fancy clothes and lots of people coming in and out. I think I'll be able to get him out then, though I don't exactly know how yet. It is my theory that he should go straight from your school to the transports. Less chance of anything happening to mess things up. I agreed. We decided that we would talk in exactly 2 weeks, at which time Yuji Ono would give me the details of where Leo was to go. I would call him from this school. I couldn't be sure that our home line was intact. Thank you, I said maybe for the 4th time. It's my pleasure. Someday, and I hope this day will never come, I may call on you to return the favor. Yes, I knew what that meant. And, Yuji, make it as nice a place as you can find for Leo. He's done this horrible thing, but he's a gentle soul. He's just a child. My voice wavered a bit on the child, betraying more emotion than what I would like. I went to fencing. I hadn't spoken to Scarlet since she told me about Gable, so she wasn't surprised when I cornered her in the girls' locker room. Scarlet? Are you still on the prom committee? I whispered. Oh, now Miss Balanchine decides to talk to me. Well, I don't know if I want to talk to you, Scarlet replied. Scarlet, I don't have time for this. I need you to help me with something important. And you have to swear you won't tell Arsley about it. If you tell Arsley, people could die or get hurt. I don't tell Gable everything, you know. Scarlet lowered her voice to a whisper. Is it about Leo? I made sure no one was watching us or listening, then I nodded. What can I do? He's here, I said, at school. I've arranged for him to go far away, but I need to figure out a way to get him out of here. I was hoping to do it on prom night. I don't want anyone but us to know. I'm not going to tell Win or even Maddie. Scarlet nodded. So you will trust me even though I'm going to prom with Gable? What I believe, I said diplomatically, is that you would never do anything to hurt Leo or Natty or me. You're my oldest friend, and I need your help. Scarlet took that statement at face value. She hugged me. I missed you so much. I hugged her back. I had missed her too. Scarlet and I whispered plans all through fencing for the next week. We didn't resume sitting together at lunch, though. That way, no one suspected she was helping. Some of the plans we came up with were too elaborate. For example, build a piñata horse on wheels for decoration, and have Leo ride in a caravan inside. Piñatas were overly complicated to build, requiring paper licensing and a knowledge of piñata building, and they were totally inappropriate to the theme of the prom, which was Hawaiian Paradise. What we ultimately decided on was very simple. Hide Leo in plain sight. We reasoned that since many boys would be going to the place for the dance in tuxedos, why couldn't Leo just walk out wearing one? At 9:30, about an hour into the dance, Leo would simply walk outside and get into a car. It looked like any other boy at the dance. Scarlett and I even arranged for Gable, Wynn, and Leo to rent the exact same tuxedo. Entirely unbeknownst to any of them, they'd assist in the illusion that Leo was just another male student, indistinguishable from any other. Funny story, but 10 days before the prom, Wynn asked me if I still wanted to go. "You've been under so much stress," he said, "and I know I like these things more than you. I definitely understand if you wanted to sit this one out." "No," I said. "I want to go with you. I think it's best for me not to wallow. To be out and about as much as possible." This was true, but what I failed to mention was that my brother's survival depended on me attending that dance, and I had never anticipated a more formal event so much in my whole life. The week of the prom, I called Yuji Ono as scheduled. He had arranged for Leo's transport, as he said he would. A car will take Leo to a boat that will take him to an island off the coast of Massachusetts. From there, I have arranged for a private plane to take him to Japan. And in Japan, what waits for him there? I hesitated to even ask. I found a very suitable place for him. I think he will be pleased. It's a Shingon Buddhist monastery in the foothills of Mount Koya. There's a lake with fish in it and many animals. I recall you telling me that your brother has a soft spot for animals. The monks who live there are peaceful people. They eat fish, but no other meats. And even better, the language barrier will not be a problem for your brother, nor will you have to worry about the discretion of the community. Most of the monks who live there now are under a vow of silence. It's not a harsh lifestyle, and I believe the monks will be very kind to your brother, Anya. I closed my eyes. I imagine Leo wearing a sun hat, fishing in a wooden bakum. The sky and the water being so blue, you could barely tell where one ended and the other began. Sounds like paradise. How do you know about such a place? I asked. A long time ago, I once thought I should like to stay there myself, was Yuji Ono's reply. After an endless week that included many secret discussions with both Scarlett and Leo, and my own private worries that Leo's hiding place might be discovered, the night of the prom finally arrived. Wynn bought me a corsage with a single white orchid to wear on my wrist. The orchid was lovely, but in combination with my black dress, the effect was a little bit funeral. I didn't want to get you roses, Wynn explained. Too cliche for someone like Anya Balanchine. "Have a good time, you two," Natty called as she took her picture. She set down the camera. "I wish I was going." "Here," Wynn said, setting his head on Anya's head. "Take care of my hat for me." We got to the dance at 8:30. I danced several dances with Wynn, then I excused myself to the ladies' room on the 3rd floor, where I was to meet up with Scarlett. Scarlett's job had been to bring the tuxedo and get Leo dressed. "Is Leo in the tux?" I asked her. "Yes," Leo answered for her, stepping out from one of the stalls. Leo looked so handsome and grown up. I almost wished I brought my camera to take a picture for Natty, though the impossibility of this would be obvious. "Doesn't he look handsome?" Scarlett asked. "Yes."
Yeah!
I kissed Leo on the cheek. "Are you sure I shouldn't escort him to the car?" Scarlett asked. She placed a black hat on Leo's head so that his face was obscured. Just in case someone out there recognizes you? We had gone back and forth on this point several times, and decided that since everyone knew Scarlett had gone to prom with Gable Arsley, who was wheelchair-bound, it would be better for me to escort Leo to the car. Leo would probably be mistaken for Wynn if anyone noticed us at all. No, we'll be fine. It's only 50 feet to the car. Leo, are you ready? Leo offered me his arm, and I hooked mine through it. Goodbye, Scarlett, he called. You look beautiful tonight. Don't let Gable Arsley be mean to you. I won't, Leo. I swear, Scarlett said. We walked down the stairs, past administration, past the gymnasium where the dance was being held, and past the ticket area. We were almost out the front doors of the school when I heard someone call my name. It was Dr. Lau, one of the chaperones at night. I turned to go speak to her, silently praying that Leo would know enough not to follow me. Good news, Anya! I've been looking for you everywhere. I want to tell you in person that I just received that your application to Team Crime Scene Enrichment Summer has been accepted. Oh, wow, that's great, I replied. I'm feeling a little lightheaded. Would you mind if we talked about this more later? Something the matter, Anya? Dr. Lau asked. Everything's fine, I replied. I need a little fresh air. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I pushed open the heavy double doors of the school and pulled Leo through them. We walked down the sidewalk. 3 boys in tuxedos were tossing around a football. Girls in long dresses were sitting on the front steps of the school. Chai Pinter was among this group, but she didn't see me. No paparazzi or reporters in sight. Not that it would have mattered if there had been. Leo's ride was leaving now. There was no time to delay. As it was a special occasion, several kids had rented cars for the evening. At the end of a row of black limousines, I spotted Leo's. A black town car with a green 4-leaf clover air freshener attached to the rearview mirror. We walked the rest of the way at an even pace. No one seemed to see us. Once we were standing by the passenger side door, I gave Leo a quick peck on the cheek. Have a good trip, I said. I thought it best if we avoid any sort of lengthy goodbyes. Oh, hey, would you mind giving me back Leo Daddy's gun? Why? Leo said. You won't be needing it where you're going. Leo removed the gun from the waistband of his pants, and I put it in my handbag. I love you, Annie. Tell Natty I love her too. I'm sorry for the trouble I caused you. Don't worry. Don't be sorry, Leo. You're my brother. I'll do anything for you. Leo got into the car. Can I come home for Christmas? No, Leo. I don't think so. Let's see what happens, okay? Maybe I'll come out to visit you someday. And Natty? Sure. Natty too. I lied.
Liar.
I watched Leo's car drive away. Then went back into the dance. Dr. Lau wasn't in the lobby anymore, which was just as well. I wanted to go inside and dance with my boyfriend and relax for a bit. Now that I had finally seen Leo off, the knot that I'd been holding on in my stomach for these last couple weeks had finally begun to untie itself. It wouldn't be completely untied until I heard back from Yuji Ono. I found Win. He was talking to some of the boys he played music with. Where were you for so long? I ran into Dr. Lau on the way back from the bathroom, I said. I got into that summer program I applied to. She was talking my ear off about it. Congratulations, he said. I'm so proud of you. How long is it again? 6 weeks, I admitted. Well, that isn't so bad. I sure will miss you, though, he said, as he pulled me closer. And then Win and I danced for several more songs. I had thought I hadn't liked dancing, but maybe I hadn't had the right partner up until then. Last song, the band leader called out. Everyone on the dance floor. Across the dance floor, I could see Scarlett and Gable. I decided to go mend the fence with Scarlett officially. In front of Gable, I mean. You're my best friend, I said to Scarlett once I've gotten to them. But I don't control your life. And if you want to go to a dance with this imbecile, that's your business, I suppose. Scarlett smiled at me. Sure, Anya, thanks. means a lot to me. Hey! Gable said to Scarlet. Aren't you going to say I'm not an imbecile? Scarlet shook her head. Well, sometimes you kind of are one, Gable. I walked back to Wynne. Let's go, I said to him. We left the dance arm in arm. We didn't have a car waiting for us, but we were planning to take the bus as usual. Nice night, Wynne said. You can tell summer's right around the corner. That's when I heard the gun shot. I reached my hand into my purse for Daddy's gun, and then another shot. Wynne collapsed to the ground. Oh God, Wynne! I took the gun out of my purse. I cocked it, aimed it, and then I shot. The gunman was 15 feet away and it was dark, but I was a good shot. Daddy had made sure of that. I shot to disable, not to kill. I landed one bullet in the person's shoulder and a second in the kneecap. I ran to the gunman to kick his gun out of reach. Then I went back to Wynne. Our classmates were gathering around him. Someone call 911. Wynne Delacroix been shot. My voice was calm, even though I was not. I kneeled down by Wynne's side. He had passed out from pain. Or perhaps he had hit his head when he fell. The only wound I could see was on his thigh. It was bleeding a lot, so I took off my wrap and tied it around his leg like a tourniquet. I ran back across the courtyard to the gunman, who was also lying on the pavement. He was wearing a ski mask. I ripped it off his face. It was Jack's. Please don't shoot me. I was trying to kill Leo, Annie. Honestly, I swear. I was only trying to hurt him so I could bring him back to Yuri and Mickey. So they could kill my brother? And you be the big hero, huh? Well, you moron, that wasn't even Leo. Leo's not here. That was my boyfriend, Wynne. Annie, I'm sorry. It was an honest mistake, Jack said. Nothing you do is honest, Jax. I wondered how Jax had found out Leo was at school. Had he guessed? Or had Leo somehow been communicating with him? Or had a different person entirely been the informant? The only person that knew our plan were Yuji Ono and Scarlet, and I highly doubted either one of them had told Jax. I couldn't think about this right now. And I couldn't ask Jax either, because if I had asked him, it would be as good as admitting that we had managed to smuggle Leo out of the country tonight. You do know who my boyfriend's father is, don't you? I asked Jax. The assistant DA, Jack said, as it slowly dawned on him just whose son he had mistakenly shot.
Oh, man!
Good luck with that, cousin. All of our lives are about to become a living hell, I said. The police car showed up. What happened here? A cop demanded. This man, Jax Perowski, shot my boyfriend, I said. Cops put Jax in handcuffs. I saw him wince as they pulled his arm. So who shot him? The cop was pointing at Jax. I did, I said, at which point I, too, was put in handcuffs. Then an ambulance showed up to transport Wynne to the hospital. I was desperate to go with him, but I was restrained by the handcuffs, of course. I screamed to Scarlet that she should ride with him instead. She did. Then another ambulance came to take Jax away. Finally, a second police car came. And this one was just for me.